This is Justin Case of American Newscape, joining our friend and mentor, Joyce Rockwood, for some insight on how she teaches healing from the inside out. Joyce joins us to share an obtainable natural health solution. Today, how to be plant-based and not go bananas. Greetings, Joyce.
Greetings, Justin. I love the title.
Welcome back to American Newscape. Hey, let's get this going. Growing numbers of people are more open to eating a plant-based diet, with poor nutrition being the leading cause of 70% of illnesses and disease that could otherwise be prevented. It's no wonder individuals want to try taking better care of themselves. How do you suggest people go about eating more plant-based and being
Thank,
consistent with it?
yeah, thank you. Sorry to cut you off there. Consistency is key, right? It's not just like how do we change over from what we're currently doing, but how do we maintain that? That's really where people get tripped up. And I often work with busy and purpose-driven entrepreneurs and professionals who are struggling with their digestion, their energy, and their sleep. Do any of these things ring bells with any of you listening? And the time it's taking them to try and figure all these things out on their own is costing them a lot of time, and it's inhibiting their ability to perform. It starts to impede with your emotional health as well as your physical health when you're not feeling well. And a lot of times people look to a plant-based diet to end their struggles. And the problem that I often find with most of them is that they're not keyed in to what it looks like to do that with proper transitional stages. So that's where having a coach can be very advantageous, so that you can work with someone who's been there, gone through it, and also understands the intricacies of human biochemistry and what's really happening on the inside while you're putting all these things in from the outside. So the first thing I would say about transitioning to a plant-based diet is it should be something you actually want to do, right? There's something magical that happens in the body and with the mind when you make up your mind to change what you're currently doing and you show up ready, willing, and able to take those steps to implement those changes. And once you've made that decision and you feel like it's really an organic one and it's not something you're doing because someone else has just suggested it, but you start to really feel the power of what it could look like, then what I would typically say to the individual, and if I'm working with a client, I will do an intake and say, like, what has your upbringing been? Part of the reason why a lot of people feel like they're not successful in this process is because they're not fully acknowledging their health history, where they came from first, and all of that which has accumulated on a deep cellular level that we're now waking up when we eat the healthier foods. And the first pillar of my own methodology, which is a 3-pillar process called Nourish, Detoxify, and Rejuvenate, the first pillar is the one we really focus on with proper nourishment. And we learn how to make these transitional stages. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you've heard me talk about eating big salads before cooked food, separating out fruit from other food groups. These are some of the basic food combining principles that we start to employ to really open up the body, allow some of the accumulation to start to break down and leave the system, so that your body is going through the process of detoxification in a reasonable fashion with manageable shifts. And the process of detoxifying the body is one that happens in tandem with moving over to a plant-based diet. So even though we focus on the first pillar, there are other pillars that start to come into play. And if you're someone who is brand new to the whole idea of transitioning to a more plant-centric or plant-based diet, the first thing I would say is honor your history and don't try to do everything at once. A lot of times people are into that, cold turkey, go big or go home method or philosophy. And that doesn't work so well in regards to this particular area of health, because if you move out all of the more acidic foods, all of the more mucus forming foods, all of the less plant centric foods all at once, there's a very big upheaval that can start to happen on the inside of your body that might not feel so wonderful or so easy to manage. And I typically use a lot of metaphors with my clients when I'm working with them to help them visualize what is really happening inside of their bodies. And so I would just say, if you could think about shifting the gears of your car, we shift from first gear to second gear and then to third. We don't typically go from one to three, right? Because the transmission of the vehicle will probably just drop out on the road. Well, we want to think about our bodies in a similar capacity. We want to think about moving from where we are to where we want to go with gradual changes so that the accumulation of what is leaving the body is manageable. We're not loosening up too many dangerous demons all at once that feel like they're going to debilitate us or make us feel sick or weary or too moody. And that's important, right? Because if we're loosening up a lot of matter that is not manageable, what it tends to do for a lot of people I work with is it kicks up these really ginormous food cravings that make you feel like you just want to run in the other direction of anything plant based. And that's why people tend to create a lot of self sabotage for themselves because they're not really familiar with what the process of transitioning should look like. So I would say that if you're looking to transition into a more plant-centric diet, just make some slow tweaks, maybe starting with your breakfast and then moving into your lunch, and just allow your body to experience what the healthier foods truly feel like. Enjoy those higher vibrational, higher frequency electromagnetically charged foods to move into your body, to digest them, to feel the vibrancy, to feel the energy, and to allow the shifts for the food cravings that you're currently having into some new food cravings to be more organic and pleasant. I was actually just on a call with someone this week who started to work with some of the food combining principles that I share. She downloaded the food combining chart, which is available for anyone listening below this video. And she was amazed in 3 days. 3 days of just shifting some of the combinations of her foods that her food cravings were gone. She said, Joyce, I cannot believe it, but it's happening. So the same is possible for you, right? And everyone's body is unique. We're all different. We have all have different biochemistry, and we are all have different DNA, and we all have different emotions and mindset and behaviors and triggers and traumas that we might bring to the table. So if it doesn't happen for you in 3 days, don't be surprised. It might take you a little longer. For some people, it happens in one day. But I just want to empower you with the whole idea that it doesn't have to be difficult. I make detox easy. And if you're really looking to shift into a more plant centric diet, it is something that you can do, and it can have incredible benefits to improving your sleep, improving your digestion, releasing all of that excess gas and bloating, having more radiant skin, and sleeping like a baby and waking up with more energy to take on the day. And when those things happen, you can really feel like you can pour into the cup of other people and make such a big difference in their lives because we're not so bogged down by all the worry and the mayhem and the stress and the anxiety of what's going on inside our own body, because it is something that really just dissipates when you are nourishing yourself properly.
So, to clarify, I should set about incremental change
Mm-hmm.
and having somebody with helping me through that. I mean, coaching me, supervising, suggesting is only going to make that easier. And it's going to help keep me from not going bananas.
Exactly. I think the biggest obstacles that I find people have when they're going through this process is knowing what to do and how to do it, having accountability for the goals that they'd like to reach that we've set together, and creating consistency with a plan that works for their personal lifestyle. And those are things that I specialize in, and my clients truly appreciate when we work together, because if you don't have someone to report into, then it's easy just to not do the things, right? But when
Yeah.
you know that you've set a goal and you've announced it, when you verbally announce it, I was actually on a call with a woman this week who is ready to kick diabetes ass. Those were her words on her intake form. And that got me really excited because I could see the enthusiasm before we even spoke in her wanting to live a different way and live a different lifestyle. And, when people show up like that for me, I know that they're going to have astounding results. And so if you are listening to this and you are someone who is really ready, willing, and able and curious to learn more, even before we might work together, I offer a free 30-minute call so that we can get connected. I can hear what your health history has been, hear what any medications are that you might be taking. And of course, I recommend that you speak to your doctor before we make any big changes, but also lay out a step-by-step plan for what getting into a more plant-centric diet and nourishing your body and detoxifying your body could look like for you. And it would be my pleasure to support you on your journey.
Do you have any thoughts you want to leave us with today, Joyce?
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be difficult. I think so many people spin their wheels for so long thinking about why they shouldn't, or why them, or are they the ideal person for me to be working with them, or are they the ideal person for working with me. And I would just say, if you could let go of all of the excess thoughts and just make the first step, it really is quite magical to see the results that you can get in such a quick amount of time when you make that decision to move forward with your health. And now is really the very best time. So many people have more time on their hands because they're not rushing their children around to different activities. They're not even sometimes going into an office, they're working from home, and they see the value of really investing in their health because it affects so many of the other areas, if not all of the other areas of our life, from our family, our relationships, to our financial freedom. And so stop waiting. Don't put yourself on the back burner. Now is the time. And it would be my honor to guide you in your own journey.
Thank you. This has been Justin Case and Joyce Rockwood sharing a few nutritious, delicious, plant-based insights. Thanks for joining us. Remember, free gifts, additional information, and links are provided in this video's Read More. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected, and please connect with Joyce in the links below so you can learn how to not go bananas.